Just Cause 3, it's really easy to see as kind of a continuation of all the really cool things about Just Cause 2. So in Just Cause 2 we had destruction, where you would shoot something and it would blow up. So this time we asked ourselves, like what could you do differently other than just shoot something until its health goes down and it blows up, right? So we start looking at stuff like, can you tear it apart dynamically? Can you crash vehicles into it? Can you do all these things? Can you make physics work on it? Can something fall on it and break it? So these are all things we decided to address with our dynamic destruction system. And that's kind of just a continuation. You know, we had explosions before, and now we have a much, much better, cooler, more interesting, more dynamic explosions to work with. Same thing for the basic player mechanics. We had the grappling hook and the parachute, which were really fun to move around with in Just Cause 2. And then in Just Cause 3, we add the wingsuit onto that, and we stabilize the parachute so that you can shoot really well when you're up there. And it just kind of fleshes out the whole experience and makes it feel more solid and polished. No, it's not terribly different. It's just a matter of, we have more power to work with. Like the dynamic destruction system wouldn't necessarily have been possible on previous generations. Now we have much higher processing power that allows us to run all these crazy physics simulations at the same time. So that was kind of a big advantage to working on. Sure. I mean, yeah, it's more that we focus on what we're doing. Of course, we know there are other games out there. We play them, we look at them, we see what they're doing. But we really kind of had, from day one, just a really focused idea of what we wanted. We had Just Cause 2, and we knew what we wanted to take from that and move on with. So working from that was fairly straightforward. It was just a matter of taking what we had before and moving it forward. So other games, yes, we looked, but the majority of the ideas came from just extrapolating on what we already had. Oh, sure. So with Just Cause 3 has a multiplayer system. It is an asynchronous system so that players can challenge each other to complete various tasks and get higher scores than they did. It all runs in game. You just have to tap a couple buttons to make it happen, which is really fun. And around the office, we're just constantly like calling each other out for stuff, just with a couple button taps, and then maybe a holler across the office too for good measure. But another way that the modding community has really inspired Just Cause was Just Cause 3 was that we created a whole system of upgrades, basically, but we call them the gear mod system, and they are inspired by mods. You can turn them all on and off at any time, and they augment your abilities in different ways. And that's really just inspired by the Just Cause modding community. Like, we have this new system where you can lay down multiple tethers, and then you can add more tethers onto that as you progress through the game. Or you can add rockets to your little planet explosive. So you plant an explosive on a guy's face, pull the trigger, and he goes flying away before the explosion happens, right? So stuff like that happens. So it was really about just kind of allowing the player to creatively mix and match all those different options in that system to create kind of the coolest outcome they could. Yeah, Rico is older than he was in previous games. It's been a couple of years since now. It's been many years since San Espirito. But he has since left the agency, and he's now working entirely on his own. And he has decided that he needs to return to his homeland of Medici in the Mediterranean and liberate it from a dictator, General Sebastiano di Ravella, who came to power and killed Rico's parents. Rico fled the island when that happened. And he's kind of come back not only for his revenge, but to free his people and to kind of make his homeland beautiful again. Sure. Yeah. Well, he's very calculated in his approach. He thinks things through, and he knows what he wants his results to be. But he's also not afraid to go really far, like burning whole towns and stuff like that. So that makes it really easy to hate him. But on top of it, he does it all in a slightly tweaked way where he's just a little bit nuts. So you see him in the game do some things that are of course really questionable. But he does it in kind of this gleeful way. We've all seen the trailer where he goes, "Burn it!" just like he's happy to do it, right? So that's kind of the core of Di Ravella. he's a mechanical, like cold-hearted, tactical guy, but he gets a certain delight out of fire and making things blow up, not unlike Rico. Just Cause 3's world is huge. It's about roughly the same size as Just Cause 2's, but also much more dense. It's about 1,000 square kilometers. And in that 1,000 square kilometers, there are tons of towns, bases, outposts, cities, bridges, structures, and then also procedurally generated encounters that will happen as you're driving along the road and you'll come across a military convoy that's holding a bunch of rebels hostage. So there's a lot of open world activities going on that happen in between even the main missions, and then also just every town and base is just full of opportunities for players to be creative in how they blow things up.